Why do you keep letting them in? You know the face, you know the voice, you know exactly what happens when they walk through the door of your life again. Your chest tightens, your throat closes, and still you open it. Why? They don't need a key to your life. You hand it to them every single time. You think you're being kind, you think you're being strong. But kindness without boundaries isn't love, it's surrender, and strength without choice is just endurance of pain you could have avoided. The Stoics knew this truth 2,000 years ago. What you permit, you promote. Toxic people are like water finding cracks in stone. They don't break you with force. They wear you down with persistence. A comment here, a guilt trip there, a favor that's never returned, and one day you look in the mirror and don't recognize the person staring back. That's not growth, that's erosion. Marcus Aurelius wrote in the cold of a military camp, "You have power over your mind, not outside events, not over their words, not over their games, not over their need to drain you, but over your response, over your attention, over the gates of your inner world." And that single shift is where everything changes, because toxic people don't fear your anger, they fear your indifference. This isn't about confrontation, this isn't about revenge. This is about something far more powerful, complete withdrawal of your energy. You do this once, fully, consciously, without apology, and watch what happens. They lose their grip, they lose their script, they lose you. And for the first time in years, you remember what peace feels like. You've spent years trying to understand them, reading their moods, predicting their reactions, walking on eggshells in your own life. You told yourself, if I just love them enough, they'll change. But here's the truth. No one wants to say out loud. Some people don't want to heal. They want an audience for their chaos, and you've been giving them a front row seat. If you're enjoying this video and it's speaking to you, don't just watch, like, subscribe, and share it with someone who's still stuck in the cycle. You might change their life. The Stoics taught that wisdom begins with acceptance of reality as it is, not as you wish it to be. And the reality is this: you cannot save someone who's drowning if they keep pulling you under. That's not abandonment, that's survival. Epictetus said, "Don't seek to have events happen as you want them to, but instead want them to happen as they do happen." Stop wanting them to be different. Start accepting who they've shown you they are. Think of a tree in a storm. The branches that resist the wind break. The ones that bend survive. But bending doesn't mean letting the storm uproot you. It means moving with wisdom, not stubbornness. Protecting your roots while the chaos rages above. And sometimes protecting your roots means cutting off the branches that are already dead. Here's what happens the moment you truly let go. First, there's silence. A silence so loud it feels like fear. Then, there's guilt. You'll question yourself 100 times in the first week. But then, slowly, quietly, something shifts. You sleep better. You breathe deeper. And you realize this is what freedom feels like. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, yet he wrote, "Reject your sense of injury, and the injury itself disappears." The injury isn't what they said, it's the meaning you gave it. The power isn't in their hands, it's in your interpretation. And the moment you stop interpreting their chaos as something you need to fix, explain, or endure, it loses all weight. This is the beginning, not a fight, but of your return to yourself. Let's talk about the cost of staying. Not the cost they see, the cost you pay in silence, every compromise you make to keep the peace, every version of yourself you shrink to make them comfortable, every dream you postpone because their drama takes priority. You've been paying this price so long, you've forgotten what abundance feels like. The Stoics called this voluntary slavery, and it's the cruelest kind because you hold the key. Seneca watched men in Rome chase power, wealth, and approval from people who despised them. He saw them sacrifice everything for the illusion of connection, and he wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." The relationship you're protecting doesn't even exist anymore. It's a memory, a ghost you keep feeding with hope. But ghosts don't heal, they haunt. And every day you stay, you're not being loyal. You're being haunted. There's an ancient Stoic exercise called the view from above. You imagine yourself rising higher and higher until you see your life from a distance. From up there, this relationship looks different. You see the pattern, the cycle, the years of the same fight wearing different masks. You see yourself smaller than you are, bending, breaking, begging for scraps of respect. And from that height, the answer is obvious. It's been obvious all along. You just needed distance to see it clearly. Now bring yourself back down. You're here, in your life, in this moment. And you have a choice that no philosopher, no friend, no stranger can make for you. You can stay and continue the cycle, or you can do the one thing toxic people never expect. You can walk away without explanation, without drama, without needing them to understand. You can just stop. Stop answering. Stop explaining. Stop hoping. And in that stopping, you reclaim every piece of yourself you gave away. Marcus Aurelius lost his children. He faced betrayal from those he trusted most. And still, he wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." You don't need to hurt them back. You don't need to expose them or teach them a lesson. You just need to become so fundamentally different from the chaos they create that their words can't even reach you anymore. That's not coldness. That's mastery. And it starts the moment you decide your peace is non-negotiable. Here's what nobody tells you about letting go. It doesn't happen once. It happens 100 times, 1,000 times. Every time you don't check their social media, every time you don't respond to the bait, every time you feel the pull to explain yourself and you choose silence instead. Each moment is a small death of who you used to be. And each one brings you closer to who you were always meant to become. The Stoics understood that transformation is not an event, it's a practice. Epictetus was born into chains, real ones, and yet he became freer than the men who owned him. How? He mastered the one thing no one could take from him, his will. He said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." You can't control their words, their judgments, their version of the story they'll tell about you. But you can control whether you let any of that live inside your head. That's the fortress. And you're the only one who decides what gets through the gate. There will be moments of doubt, nights when you wonder if you made the right choice, moments when loneliness feels heavier than the chaos ever did. This is normal. This is the cost of freedom. But here's what the Stoics knew that most people forget. Loneliness is temporary. Regret is permanent. You can rebuild a life. You can find new people. You can create new meaning. But you cannot reclaim the years you spent watering dead soil hoping something would bloom. Those years are gone. What you do with the ones ahead is the only thing that matters now. Seneca wrote to a friend struggling with toxic people, "Choose to be at peace with yourself and accept what you are." Not what they said you were, not the role they assigned you. What you actually are beneath all the noise, beneath the guilt, beneath the fear of being alone. You are not the worst thing they called you. You are not defined by their inability to see your worth. You are a mind capable of reason, a soul capable of peace, and a life capable of so much more than this. So here's the practice, the one thing you do once that changes everything. You decide, not tomorrow, not after one more conversation, not after they apologize or understand or validate your pain. You decide now that your energy is sacred, that your time is finite, that your peace is worth more than any relationship that costs you your soul. And once you decide, truly decide, the rest is just logistics. Blocking a number, declining an invitation, walking out of a room, small actions, quiet power, irreversible freedom. 1 year from now, you'll look back at this moment, and you'll realize it wasn't the day they left that changed you. It was the day you stopped waiting for them to change. That was the shift. That was the moment the old version of you died and something stronger took its place. The Stoics believed that adversity reveals character. It doesn't build it. You were always this strong. You just needed a reason to stop pretending you weren't. And they gave you that reason. So in a way, even their toxicity served a purpose. It showed you what you will never tolerate again. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good person should be. Be one." You've spent enough time trying to prove your worth to people who were never going to see it. Enough time explaining your boundaries to people who benefit from you having none. Enough time defending your right to peace as if it's something you need permission for. You don't. You never did. And the moment you stop arguing for your value and simply live it, everything falls into place. Not loudly, not dramatically, quietly, like dawn breaking after the longest night. Here's what happens when you finally let go. Space opens. And at first, that space feels terrifying. You're used to the noise, the chaos, the constant need to manage someone else's emotions. But then slowly, you start to fill that space with things that actually matter. A morning routine that brings you calm, a project you've been putting off for years, a friendship that doesn't drain you. Silence that feels like medicine instead of punishment. And you realize this is what life was supposed to feel like all along. You weren't broken. You were just surrounded by people who needed you to believe you were. The Stoics practice something called amor fati, love of fate. Not because everything that happens is good, but because everything that happens can be used. Every betrayal taught you discernment. Every manipulation taught you boundaries. Every moment of pain taught you what peace is worth. You didn't waste those years, you survived them. And survival is not weakness. Survival is the foundation of everything that comes next. Now you get to build on ground that can actually hold you. And that's not a consolation prize. That's victory. So do this once. Withdraw your energy completely, not with anger, not with bitterness, with the calm, unshakable certainty of someone who finally knows their worth. Watch how they lose their power the moment you stop feeding it. Watch how your life transforms when you protect it like it's sacred. Because it is. You are not here to be someone's emotional supply. You are here to live fully, freely, and without apology. The ancient Stoics walked through fire and came out with wisdom. You've walked through yours. Now it's time to rise from the ashes, not as who you were, but as who you were always meant to be, unbreakable, untouchable, free.